And Joseph Akable has joined me with the papers. But before I even say hello to Joseph, Nana Jesse, belated birthday to you. Apologies that I missed it yesterday. I don't know. How do you make up for a birthday that you missed?
There are two ways. One is you wish the person like you are doing. The second is get a person a present that you are supposed to get that person on that day.
When was the last time you gave anybody a present?
I think last year. That's not too long. Last year.
Really? This year is ended. This is November. We've got 1 more month to go.
Okay, the person's birthday is actually later in the year, so still within
so
this
it's
year.
Coming again.
Yeah,
so you get another present.
So there will be a second time. Yeah.
That's a special.
Special, not
She's
special,
a special person?
Special, not special.
Ah, okay. Whatever that means. All right, but let's do the papers. You got the graphic?
Yes. Daily Graphic this morning says police commanders urge to arrest troublemakers. That story on page 16 of Daily Graphic. Help government carry out its mandates, President tells civil servants. Not long ago, we were talking about civil servants and what they can do. The president swore in a council yesterday, and he's talking about the need for them to carry out their mandates. We need land reforms now to grow agric. Is coming from Dr. Yakubu Al-Hassan, a former minister of agriculture. That's food and agriculture.
Yeah, and that's coming out from the Graphic Business Stanbic Bank breakfast meeting. Yeah. The reason we were all at the Labadi Beach Hotel yesterday. So that's what's making front page headlines. And it was a very fruitful conversation yesterday.
I listened to bits and pieces of it. But the back page of the graphic says hawkers drivers to give way for completion of KJTR project. But there's another story I saw inside page 53 of graphic. It has to do with some insurance scheme for national service personnel. National service personnel who suffer permanent or temporary disability through accidents during a service year will now be entitled to 15,000 insurance cover. The next of kin service persons who die while undertaking the mandatory national exercise will receive the same amount from Glyco Life. We have been told that it takes retrospective effect.
Do they have to
September
contribute?
1. Yes, they are taking about 15 cities, I'm told, from them. And I saw some bits about some airtime and free calls, among other things, for the national service personnel.
And if you don't make a claim?
You don't get it. You need to make a claim. That's how insurance works.
So your 15 cedis multiplied by the number of months that they've deducted it for.
Well, must we apply the two-level logic to everything?
Of course. Of course. Charlie, I'm chiseled. So if my 15 cedis is going every month.
But on the other way around, what you should know is that there are some individuals who may sometimes, you see, it's 15,000.
Yeah.
Something may happen to you within a service year that at that point you've not even contributed even 1,000 cedis. Okay,
I get it.
So we have to look at it that way.
The risk is a two-way thing. But I'm just saying, if you don't make a claim, you don't get anything. She gets something. You're through?
Yes.
All right, let's do the Finder newspaper on the front page of the Finder. This story was in our news because Matilda Bamaga was at that particular news conference. 108 LPG stations fail NPA test. 45 remain shut, 37 earmarked for closure, and 26 reopened. Also, ignore cheap propaganda on cocoa price. That's coming from the chief cocoa farmer. Bayport CFC merger targets 130,000 customers in 1 year. Appeals court dismisses World Bank's IFC and OPEC application against Quantum. And here's a subject that I think, well, but we probably have known. Boache Jakumbak's review of a Mary Power deal. Details of all these stories and more in the Finder newspaper. Joseph?
The Ghanaian Times reports a Mary deal overpriced, lopsided transaction is coming from the energy minister. MPA shuts down 45 fuel stations, 37 more to go, and deal with corruption in civil service is coming from President Akufo-Addo. The bit about the Mary deal, this is like, I've heard the minister say that many times, and one cannot help but wonder why they are trying to use an MPP member of parliament through parliament to get the deal rescinded. When, if he thinks it's lopsided, government signed a contract, they can simply abrogate the contract or head to court to do that. I mean,
but you see, it's I think it's maybe a smart way of doing it, because if you say Parliament perhaps made a mistake, then it's not an executive decision any longer. It's just Parliament realizing that something, something is wrong with what we did.
The executive is complicit in all of this because, mind you, they were the ones who presented the agreement to Parliament and convinced the parliamentarians to approve it.
Yeah. So if Parliament says, hey, wait a minute, the deal you brought to us, we didn't look at it very well. Yeah. There were some mistakes. Then it takes the conversation is different. It's not just a new government that has come into force
and wanting to do away with a previous deal.
Exactly. So this is actually a smart way of
but the NPA shutting down 45 fuel stations, 37 more to go. A knee-jerk reaction, or they actually working?
Well, they say they are working. They've been doing it, except that they haven't been talking about it.
But that's what they say.
They've been working.
That's fine. We are still waiting for.
They were working even before the explosion, except that they didn't talk about what they were doing.
That's fine. We don't have a problem. We just hope we don't have that incident happening again in any part of the country, especially when there are issues about that station.
That's something that you can't promise, you know that, because accidents do occur.
The accidents can happen, but when an accident occurs and the very first time the NPA does initial investigation, they come up to say that there are lots of breaches with regards to that station at that place, without you know that someone is not doing his work right. Yeah. Accidents can happen, but what we are saying is that there shouldn't be any station that has breached any law that should be in operation.
I agree with you. I get you. If you're through with the, what's the Daily Guide?
What's the Ghanaian Times?
Ghanaian Times. All right, let's do the Daily Dispatch and then we'll come to the Daily Guide newspaper. So on the front page of the Daily Dispatch, Kennedy Japan MPP's vigilantism. NPP risk losing 2020 elections if, and I'm tempted to go to page 2, just a little bit of that story. It says, Member of Parliament for Asin Central, Kennedy Japan, says the NPP risk losing elections 2020 if it fails to deal with the widespread lawlessness caused by pro-NPP vigilante groups. He said he supports President Akufo-Addo's call on the police to crack the whip on political party vigilante groups affiliated to the NPP, and he believes freedom is more important to Ghanaians. Therefore, urged President Akufo-Addo to ensure that the laws work without regard for partisan considerations. And coming from him in particular, I'm sure a lot of people would say, oh, wow, and they'll hail the things that he's said. And
he was one of those individuals who got a lot of criticism leveled against him. At the very initial stages when the Invincible Forces started their operations, he did back them, but at a point he started to backtrack when they got out of hand. So it's a good call that is coming from him. I mean, you may call it a Damascus movement. He has seen the light, so it's fine.
But he's a lawmaker. I mean, he's a parliamentarian. So
that is why people had issues with it when he came out all out to, I mean, sort of defend the Invincible Forces. I saw a statement on social media about a regional secretary of the Invincible Forces somewhere in the Bunahafo region released a statement.
Oh, Charlie. Those guys are powerful, apparently.
I mean, the point someone was making was that they have good structures, like to have a regional secretary of Invincible Forces. I just hope that is one of those things that
they've become more invincible. Man. All right, there's also another headline here. Childhood photos of Akufo-Addo you have never seen before. That's what the paper is saying. Well, I've got the privilege because I'm right there on that page. And I see, I just describe, I'm not going to show it to you. You have to go and buy the paper and see it. So you find Akufo-Addo, for instance, with his dad and mom. There's one with his mom. And then
the boxing one, the one he's in the
oh yes, with a toy in what appears to be his father's house. Okay, well, so there's one that he's playing with like a toy, but there's one that he's in the gloves, like, you know, he's ready to punch somebody.
He said he used to box.
The
president.
All right, so lots of pictures. Really, I haven't spotted these photos before. Akufo as a long, is that him? Just a look at it. Is that him as a young lawyer?
That is him.
Are you serious?
That is him.
How old was he?
He was. This one doesn't. He doesn't look that old at this age. Yeah,
like a teenager.
Yeah, he should be a teenager then.
Okay, so we're feasting because the Dispatch has published it.
Our viewers will definitely not forgive us.
Oh, okay. So I think it will be fair. Just a teaser, and then you go and get the paper. Alaji, shoot for me. So this is it. Pictures of Akufo-Addo. They say you've never seen this before, so I guess this is one of those publications that you don't just buy, but you buy for keeps. You never know where you need. That's it. It's okay, Joseph.
Let's do Daily Guide now. It says ECG workers thrown out. There's a photograph of the Energy Minister, Boachi Jako, and also related energy story says, Minister Niels Ameri, KMA relocates KGTR traders. And Daily Guide still on the Kwesi Botwe report says, NDC youth organizer missing in action, says Kwesi Botwe report. There's a photograph of the youth organizer. There's that of former President John Mahama, and there's that of John Dumelo. And we are being told that, you know, there's this event they had at Cape Coast.
Yes.
Where we are told a slot that was supposed to be given to the National Youth Organizer was handed to the actor.
Was it a slot that was supposed to be given to the National Youth Organizer? So he spoke in place of the youth organizer.
So ordinarily it's supposed to be the National Youth Organizer that should have addressed at that point.
Yeah.
But the allegation is that they rather allowed the actor to come in to speak.
Okay, well, maybe the party wasn't organizing. Was it a party? Because they had a campaign team.
Yeah. They did have one.
Yeah, but that's a conversation and the fact that John Dumelo also spoke right after the president, correct?
Yes, in fact, so he spoke like after the vice president.
The vice president, okay.
So that in itself, protocol-wise,
that's
they were
a peak time
That's
for a person who is not a national executive of our party.
Not even the party chairman will speak after the vice president. It doesn't happen anyway.
Well.
But the other story about the ECG workers thrown out, you know, they've been trying to block this whole privatization of ECG. They've been talking about redundancy package. They are simply saying that because they are moving to work for a private company, they should be given that package. But unfortunately for them, they tried to get an injunction. The court threw that out yesterday. So the substantive case is still before the court, but now.
And the substantive case is whether or not they get
the redundancy package.
Oh, okay.
But the attempt to block it pending the determination of the final case is what has been thrown out. So governments can go ahead with implementation. The court said yesterday that government will suffer serious hardship if they go ahead to tell government to put on hold all the discussion that is ongoing. They say so much money has been pumped in, people are coming down, the bidders conference is taking place among others. But you, the individual, if in the long run you win the case and they're supposed to pay you redundancy package, government simply pays the money. So you don't lose anything within it.
Well, this was what, a high court?
Yeah, an Accra High Court.
Oh, okay. But we don't know if they're going to appeal that decision, do we?
We don't know that for now. But I mean, from their posturing, they seem a bit unhappy. We've been trying to engage them. They are holding on now, but they are still concentrating on the substantive one, hoping that they'll get a ruling in their favor. Okay,
all right, quickly let's do online, and let's do myjoyonline.com. They use technology to turn me into a bloody dictator, according to the Togolese president, who has bemoaned the use of social media to portray him in the bad light as thousands of opposition supporters call for his resignation. I must confess, we've heard very little of him. We've only seen the things that people want us to see, and sometimes they can be one-sided. It's good that he's talking now. You can check out the details of what he's been saying, which is on myjoyonline.com. Also on the page, NCA must act to stop cyber fraud, according to NCR. Okay, you can read details of that also on the page. Digital addressing system InnoHub debunks claim Vocacom adopted Snoocode's idea. There's a lot of back and forth with this whole Ghana Post GPS. So it's just fall out of that. University of Education Winneba Vice Chancellor, 5 others interdicted as Supreme Court judgment looms. 25 Togolese granted bail after Nima protest against Nyasingbe. There is nothing to apologize for. Isi Boateng stands by divisive comments. Today on AM Talk, we'll tell you a lot more about who the man is in the first place. We will take you to a certain article in the 1992 Constitution that, on the surface of it, I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but what he said, we're just going to, what did they say? Juxtapose. I mean, the 1992 Constitution, that's the law that guides all of us. That's the highest.
I mean, he swore an oath to stick by that.
Yeah, we're going to see.
As the High Commissioner.
Yeah, and nothing has come from the presidency yet, right?
Not at all. I mean, I think the position is similar to what we had in the case of the Deputy Agric Minister. The presidency didn't react for a while. Then all we heard was the resignation.
So if you're unhappy with what Mr. Isi Boateng said, you have to make your voices known, because that's the only way we can get some reaction from the presidency, if you like. Read the game, don't invade the pitch. NYE advises NPP youth to desist from lawless acts by taking advantage of details of that on myjoyonline.com. Court dismisses injunction application by ECG workers to halt concessions. All right, that's myjoyonline.com. There are a lot more stories here that you can check out. Oh, Dr. Opuning Frimpong, who is General Secretary of the Christian Council, is commenting on AC Boaten's comment. Okay,
we can do cityfmonline.com now. NDC's Chris Akomi sues NCA for sanctioning radio. That has to do with the 130 radio stations that were sanctioned. And guilty Akufo-Addo can't sack AC Boaten is coming from James Kluchi Aveji. He's the deputy minority leader. Eastern Region Operation Cowleg returning to fight Fulani menace. So has to do with that operation that sought to end it. It appears it hasn't ended, so they are trying to bring it back. UEWVC, others asked to step aside, and that comes with a photograph of the entrance of University of Education, Winneba. So many other stories. Free trade key to poverty eradication, Danish Foreign Affairs Minister, among other stories, all on cityfmonline.com.
Okay, two things we want to do just quickly. I guess first we want to do the New York story. We'll end with Kenya. So 8 people were killed, 11 injured when the driver of the truck hit people on the cycle path in Lower Manhattan. So that's the suspect there, at least before he was shot. That video is playing now. We're told that he's 29. He was shot by police as he left the car and detained. Media named him as Seyfulo Saipov, an Uzbek immigrant who came to the U.S. in 2010 on the visa lottery. So you now know why Trump is not encouraging the lottery any longer. So you can catch up. You can visit online for a lot more of that. Okay, just before we go, let's talk Kenya, because the opposition leader Raila Odinga, he said his coalition will not accept the results of last week's controversial presidential election rerun, vowing to embark on a political campaign to restore democracy in the country. Raila Odinga made the comments on Tuesday, one day after President Uhuru Kenyatta was declared the winner of the October 26 poll. Kenyatta took 98.2% of the votes according to official results, but turnout stood at less than 40% following a boycott call by Odinga. All right, so details of all of that when you get online. Some messages that you've sent, but what we're going to do is just going to pause and bring spots, after which I'll share a lot of your messages, maybe just one before we go. Yes, this one says, good morning, Mama V and Joseph. I just want to commend comments on the issue of Ghana High Commissioner to South Africa for the comments he made. I was shocked and ashamed to hear an elderly and father as well. In fact, he should rest immediately, else his comments could have negative effects against the party and our father. So it's coming from Bawa Adams in Tamale. Yeah, and I know that we've received lots more comments. We'll come back and share. Joseph, thank you very much for your company. Happy new month. Enjoy November.
Enjoy it too.
Yeah, thanks a lot.